on certain inputs which become very critical to a refined digital model, a refined feed model. Imagine a situation in which we are supposed to create a digital framework for a terrain that has been less explored. And to the best of the knowledge of working geophysicists, geoscientists, they would be able to create their perception and translate that into a digital framework so that it becomes manageable. But then again, bringing the entire gamut of variance into a small scale model, I think that is a challenge which we need to address. That is the first and foremost. The second point which I want to elaborate is that a lot of resource refinement will occur, and it is already in pipeline as far as the optimization of available resources are concerned. Digital data sets are going to play a very important role. I have personally seen the transition from paper seismic sections to SegWi format files, in which the entire volumes, the 3D volumes, are captured, preserved, and they can be processed repeatedly, time and again, depending on our software suites, which is a definite advantage for adding value and reducing the time. The third thing which I am seeing now happening is the role of artificial intelligence, in which a lot of things are changing as far as the reduction in time, the quality of the output is concerned. With the application of artificial intelligence, we have already entered a domain in which things are easily available at the click of a button, and this is being further facilitated by cloud computing. Now, all these things which have taken up a very important role in the present oil and gas industry, especially in the upstream sector, exploration and development sector, this is definitely going to be a game changer. But then again, I would like to come back to my initial uh, statement that the problem of scale will remain to be addressed, because the modeling, the digitization is as good as the inputs that are being given. And I have seen tremendous improvement in the data acquisition, the quality of seismics, which are playing a most key role in creation of digital field models. How best we are able to extract reservoir level information from them, convert them to digital, and then we start developing on our field development programs. So all those things are definitely going to play a very important role. But we need to remember that digitization has given us a seat from which the human mind can think, imagine, and then bring that all, whatever it is imagining, into its workflows. So I think digitization in one way has given us a boost, which we need to develop, work upon, and go ahead with. I think we have other panelists. I would like to hear the views of my colleagues also and seniors.
Thank you so much, sir. So may I request Mr. A.K. Zulfi, kindly share your experience during the process of digital transformation of oil and gas sector.
Thank you, Annapurna ma'am. First of all, I must wish a very good afternoon to all my fellow panelists and young energy soldiers. The students, I call them as young energy soldiers. And I must congratulate APG student chapter of UPS on selecting a wonderful topic for panel discussion, because it is the digitalization which is going to be a game changer for oil and gas industry, whatever be the pace of it or the quality of it. But I will not go into a philosophical aspect of it, but I'll touch some very practical things which I have seen over 38 years of my span in ONGC, when I joined in 81 and when I superannuated in 2019. I will divide the whole thing into very practical things. I will request students can jot down, and this I'm going to tell in terms of challenges and opportunities, in terms of digitalization. We can divide the whole gamut of upstream oil industry into three parts: survey, drilling, and production. In surveys, we have challenges of quality of seismic survey, data acquisition. We have got geophones. We have got on the side data acquisition vans, and then this data acquisition, this acquired data goes for processing. The quality of data that is acquired will ultimately give us the end result, that is the seismic sections, on the basis of which we decide where to drill, what to drill. So the digitalization must be incorporated. This is the future challenge. Can be utilized as much as possible. The technologies are available. You know what is happening is there are frontline technologies of digital kind available in the market, but the oil and gas sector, there is a gap between the adaptation of those technologies in oil and gas. The technologies are either coming late to us, or we are not able to bridge this gap. There is, sometimes we give economic reasons, the prices have gone low, whatever, but this should not happen. We must be at par with the pace of technology and digitalization that is happening. Second is, in drilling, rig automation has taken place. We had mechanical rigs earlier when I joined ONGC. We had electrical rigs after that. There have been some, improvement in automation of the rig, but the amount of digitalization in terms of sensors, like still we capture most of the data on a drilling rig by manual methods, and these manual methods are bound to manipulation, bound to errors, bound to, and the giga principle, garbage in, garbage out. The quality of data that we input and the drilling rig generates huge amount of data. We are talking in terms of real-time monitoring of the wells while drilling, and we, on the basis of that, we have developed softwares. But if we do not have the proper quality data for acquisition, how can we have the proper quality output? So the quality sensors, how they can be manipulated, how they can run without fail, how they can be maintained on the side, all this are the challenges for these young energy soldiers to sort out and go ahead. And similarly, in terms of logging also, well testing also, we should think about this. Similarly, in production, the monitoring of wells, we have got huge number of wells which are unmanned. Their production rates, their production pressures, their profiles, their temperatures, pressures, downhole, running of SRPs, whether the SRP has gone down or still running, all those things are to be captured digitally without and accurately. This will greatly enhance our planning of productions. We already have very good, I won't call it digitalization, and unbalanced growth in terms of use of computers. I will call it as use of computers and software. In two areas in upstream oil and gas industry. One is geophysical processing of data, and the second is reservoir modeling. This kind of software development should have taken place in all sectors of upstream oil and gas industry, and in midstream and downstream also. But I don't have any exposure on midstream and downstream, so I won't be able to speak on that. So on the basis of whatever I told you, similarly in transportation of oil and gas crudes, I've seen in the fields of Ahmedabad, they said we had mass flow meters installed onto the pipelines, but the water cut values they were giving were faulty. They were not able. This is one example I'm giving you of digitalization. We have done a digitalization, but of no use. So ultimately, we have to rely on the laboratory data where we find out the exact amount of water in a crude oil which is flowing through the pipelines, where the water cut is as high as 73%. Why not we can't have a proper equipment, proper instrumentation which can measure the accurately all these data automatically. So this is all is required. So in brief, the challenging opportunities, I will not call them challenges, I will not call them opportunities. These are the challenging opportunities are 7. One is quality control of data acquisition during seismic survey, quality control of data processing, variance in seismic section, and actual formation stratigraphy, how to minimize it. Then data acquisition on a drilling rig, automated using big data analytics and artificial intelligence and machine learning, logging quality results, water cut of crude oil in flow lines at GGS, CTF, automation, and well monitoring during production, life cycle of a well, which is a new concept. And all this, in all these sectors, we need equipments, instruments, sensors, and digitalization. Automation is possible. There is a big gap. There are devices available. There is digital, development in the world, but we are not able to take this technology and apply to our areas. This is something which I wish our young energy soldiers will. And just give me one more minute for the final point, that is coming to the training part. In training, we have got virtual reality softwares which people are using for gaming. Why these virtual reality softwares cannot be used for training? Let the students feel that they are on an actual drilling rig in a virtual reality and handling the things themselves. I have seen people, students dying to see a rig. They just want to go and have a feel of the rig. And arranging field visits for each and every student of a petroleum engineering on a rig is nearly impossible. So with virtual reality, probably we can sort out all these kind of deficiencies that we have still in our system. And this is not something a big deal. Only proper thinking, management, and proper application of mind can solve most of the problems by proper application of digitalization in upstream oil and gas industry. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your experience and challenges, what you can see during the process of transformation and digitalization in oil and gas sector. Now, I would like to request Ms. Sridevi Bala. Ma'am, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, Sridevi ma'am, please share, introduce your role during the process of oil and during the digitalization, oil and gas in your industry, and share your experience, please.
Thank you, Annapurna ma'am, and good afternoon, everyone. Very nice to hear my co-panelists share their views. Since both of them come from a strong upstream background, I will not talk much about upstream. I'll try focusing on the non-upstream part of it, because as energy lead at Accenture, I focus across the value chain. And I have been pretty much on the IT part of the world of oil and gas for the last 20 years. So whatever I'm going to speak is coming from that experience. So I can start, when I started my career way back in early 2000, definitely digitalization was not there as digitalization, right? There was a lot of automation being spoken about, a lot of optimization being spoken about, but using some of the methodologies like, for example, Monte Carlo algorithm to solve some of the problems. So we were talking more of those kind of science which was applied to solve some of our engineering challenges. But yeah, as I progressed in the career, I could very clearly see that shift towards digital technologies like cloud, AI, big data, analytics, all these things have started. And I think it's only the last 7-8 years where you can really see this coming up in the forefront and actually making that impact. But having said that, when I compare me as an energy lead with my peers from retail, from consumer goods, or from health and public sector, I'm still lagging behind them, way behind them. So they have huge cloud projects. I do not have that many cloud projects with me as they have, right? Simply because oil and gas industry has kind of started the journey, I would say, and this has started picking up. So we are in the, say, in the 5th or 7th year or 8th year in that. We are in that life cycle, whereas retail, health and public sector, they're almost like 15, 20 years. They're in that curve growth, I would say. So yes, so we are lagging behind, but there is a lot of focus coming now. And why is the focus? Obviously, because the oil prices have fallen. There's a lot of focus on decreasing our cost, increasing our efficiency, and a lot of focus has been built on increasing productivity. And of course, all this at the end of while catering to your HSSE requirements. So that's a big shift what I'm seeing. But having said this, me coming from the technology side, I would still say not everybody has embraced technology to the extent what we would have anticipated them to embrace the technology. Many companies are taking baby steps. Like for example, when I talk about cloud, they are not ready to move the entire application base into cloud. Not the so-called critical applications. They still want to keep it on-prem. But more only certain application, the dev, the test, and so-called non-critical applications onto cloud. So that kind of trend is what we are observing. Of course, that is changing, but it's still a long way for the complete thing to shift back onto into cloud. The second trend, what I'm seeing is data. So I think both Mr. A.K. Joshi and Manish Shukla, both of them kind of touched upon data part of it. While I completely agree, whatever garbage in is garbage out. There's a lot of focus being built from a digital perspective, from an IT perspective on data. So the recent example is Open Subsurface Data Universe, wherein different oil and gas companies have come together and have built this forum, and along with partners like us and the OFES partners, wherein they're trying to define an industry standard for the data which is being utilized in the energy industry. While at this point of time we are focusing more on subsurface and production, but gradually the idea is to extend this to up to the retail side of the things. So what is this consortium doing? It is simply trying to define the data standards. What kind of how should be the data coming in subsurface, from your wells, from your production? What are the data standards? Once the data comes, how do we ingest that? What are the data enrichment rules which need to be applied? And once you have the data in your database, and of course all this is sitting on the cloud, how do you access that? So what are the different APIs which needs to be exposed to access this data? And while doing all these things, of course, you should have your governance and security layer built around this. So this is the kind of thinking and work which is happening, and this is something which is very much impacting the upstream industry as we speak. So a lot of players like Shell, Equinor, Chevron, we see all of these people playing a big role in this particular forum, and a lot of things are going to change. And of course, cloud providers like Azure, AWS, IBM Cloud are also playing a big role at trying to define, implement those entire OS2 layer data structures on their cloud and offer that as a service. So that is from an upstream, from a data perspective. Have we solved the problem? The answer is no. We have just started. We have defined the data models. We have defined the metadata. We have defined the enrichment rules. But what do we do after accessing this data is something which is very specific to the individual oil and gas companies. And that's where the entire layer of analytics comes into picture. And there, analytics and AI, I would say. That is where the crux of the challenges will start coming, right? Assuming we have solved the data problem. Most of the technologies, most of the things what we see is currently at a POC stage, or at best implemented in 1 or 2 fields or 3, 4 fields. It's not gone. The scale is still not there, right? So that is a big challenge which needs to be solved. And oil and gas currently is in that stage where we want to take this to the next level and scale our solutions. So when we talk to our customers, when we go to them with solution, that's the first question they ask. Is this scalable? I don't want any more POCs. I know it all works, but is it scalable? So that's a challenge which we need to solve. And so technology companies like us are trying to solve, and I urge all the young people here, the young soldiers here, to actually start thinking through and kind of get yourself acclimatized to the digital technology. So while this course is offering you all the right kind of knowledge from a petroleum engineering perspective, but start acclimatizing with the digital technologies, because it's really going to help you to bring both these things together and solve the problems. So I'll take a pause there, Anupurna ma'am, sorry.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much. And in the meantime, I request all the participants to write their questions. If they have any questions, they can write in the chat box. After the panel discussion, we will take all the questions. So please, participants, please write your questions in the chat box. Now, may I request Dr. Sunil Kumar Khare? Sir, can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So thanks for giving me an opportunity to speak. So it's a very interesting topic, and I have worked in. I got an opportunity to work in industry, in upstream industry for Schlumberger for some time in D&M, and then for product development, then as a consulting, and also as a digital transformation leader in IT company. So probably I had got an opportunity to see the things from all sides, from all perspectives. So it is, well, when we say digital, for the sake of understanding of students, probably a very simple thing, if I say a digital example of a digital is like a Uber or Ola or your payment gateways, which are digital, where simple technologies which are existing, it may be GPS tracking system or payment gateway or all these mobile technology which have been used to create a better business, better customer satisfaction, better value to the end user. So if I want to take a taxi from Dehradun to Delhi, earlier I used to call Kala Pila taxi, and then they will come and we will negotiate and all that. There will be many times you feel cheated, and many times there is no uniformity, there is no safety. But now the systems and standards have been developed that the whole process is hassle-free, and we are confident that we are going safe. We know at what time we will reach, at what time, what will be the cost, what is the track record of driver. Even driver knows what is the track record of the person sitting behind him. So this is the business value created by a digital solution. So making similar analogous to our petroleum upstream industry. So I remember in 80s or early 90s, late 90s even, they were like, even if we had to make a GTO or say well prognosis, there was a draftman who used to draft a big tracing paper, and he used to write so many things. And then finally wells were drilled on based on that paper, which was kept in somewhere well site geologist or drillers or some companyman's room. And then people used to make mud log or master log on tracing paper at the well site. And then came the time when the data was transferred by floppy disk. So there was only very minimal data, which master log or some data which every week or every day was transferred when somebody was going from rig to the base. Then came technology that real-time data started getting transmitted, and there was a big new technology called terminal server by which data was getting transferred. Then came then after that it was never ending, like it was the beginning of the information technology. Once real-time data started transmitting, then people started talking so many things, so big things. But we have seen that most of the things, my observation is, the development has been unidirectional, especially in oil and gas industry. So unidirectional means, what I want to say, that the data generation has increased many folds. There is a lot of data being generated in oil and gas industry. And there is also data storage facility has also increased. Now, even small mobile phones, they have like how much? 64 GB and 100 GB, 200 GB storage. So you can store data in petabytes and whatever big units you can say. But then this is like a pyramid, where the base of the pyramid is bigger and tip of the pyramid is smaller. So the data generation and storage is the base of the pyramid, where there is a lot of activity happening, lot of changes happening, and they are easily getting implemented by oil and gas industry also. Here also the data is getting stored. But when it comes to algorithm to run on that data, it decreases exponentially. There are very few algorithms. If we talk practically, there are very few. And there are many which are at experimental stage, which are at development stage. We talk of artificial intelligence, machine learning, this, that. Maybe some proprietary softwares and applications are there with Halliburton and Schlumberger or some Shell BP, but actually you can count them on fingers. Then comes Once we have algorithm, then implementation of the result. Whether we are doing any commercial, is there any commercial value developed from that result? Still, like people believe that why do we need artificial intelligence, and it needs lot of training. When we are intelligent, why do we need artificial intelligence? There is some kind of resistance and friction towards implementing the things, and people don't rely because it's a very capital intensive project. I need its verification, and I need its all kind of before implementation. I'm always skeptical about it. So that is one bottleneck and blockage. Then do we really get any optimization of the process? As I said about Uber or any other payment gateway, do we really get anything final out of it? Am I able to drill 100 feet extra by implementing a technology, say drilling a stand, automated drilling technology? Do I get it? That 100% confirmation reliability, which we call reliability in every aspect, that is also missing somewhere. Then ultimately comes the economic and project management benefits. How much benefits we are finally getting? Are they tangible? Can we quantify it? So these things, we have to work on these lines. The base is very strong, but the upper part is really where we need to work. I had an opportunity to be part of Energetics 2.0. I remember I was Halliburton product manager, and then we used to work a lot on developing that particular protocol with XML, ProdML, RESQML. And then finally, some customer of theirs in Europe who had given a big budget project to them finally backed out, and that project had to stop. And that project was about developing all the infrastructure related to data transmission. When we call of automation, we need to have, first of all, a robust infrastructure, and that infrastructure has to be through WITSML or ProdML. It cannot be any transmission gateway. There are a lot of security issues. There are a lot of other issues. Data when data is transferred from one customer to another, or one user to another, one vendor to another, there has to be. That's why we have WITSML. There has to be understanding between the two. So there are these are the challenges where, first of all, we don't have complete data transmission and storage in terms of WITSML storage server. I'm not talking of normal server. In that server also, in that protocol also. And then, so there have been many innovative solutions. Like we said, where we can implement it. As we said, there is a lot of data being generated at the rig, and what is the use we are making, like the quality of the data and reliability of the data. One example is like when a driller goes to the rig, or company man is on the rig, his full attention should be on the operations. They are not there to write the reports. But the fact is, because they are answerable to the people in the office, much of the time their time is lost in writing the report, and they ensure that nothing wrong goes from the rig to the office. Otherwise, it is problem to them. For next 6 hours, they have to answer to their bosses. So they have the richest experience, and they are the leaders at the rig side, and their attention is diverted towards writing the report. Now, what happened? I remember once in South China Sea, there was a small mud spill in the rig, and that was a Petro-Vietnam rig. And then there was a poor mud logger. He reported that in his report, and he was very sincere. At night to 3 p.m., 3 a.m., he wrote the report, 25-barrel mud spill. And in the morning, company man came, and luckily before sending the report, company man could see it. And company man was furious that if this report goes to the office, it will be trouble for everybody. Company man said, okay, I will run you off now. If you do it again, next time, it will be trouble for you. If you are doing this, you don't know how much problem you are going to create. So is there any mechanism by which we can automate such processes, writing the reports, where the real report goes? If there are high frequency sensors at the rig site, is it possible that we can create hourly report, we can create a weekly report, we can create daily report or 6 hourly report automatically based on that? Does a driller need to write the report? It can be automatically created. There can be algorithm. So we wrote such, and there is already a patent with Schlumberger in my name. It's already there. You can search automated rig activity report creation. where from high frequency data we can generate reports. No need. And Schlumberger has already developed a technology on that. So probably these are the areas where real implementation of digital can be done, and we should think on these lines in future, where we can create real value to the customer. Then only, and that value should be reliable. If we can create such values, definitely they will be sold and they will be taken up. So with this, I pause and I thank Dr. Annapurna for giving me the opportunity to speak.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for sharing your experience. Now I'd like to request Dr. Harilal. Sir, can you please share your experience?
Thank you, Dr. Annapurna, and thanks to all my co-panelists. Very good afternoon to everyone, all distinguished panelists and participants. Actually, during the discussion of my co-panelists, many aspects of digitalization had been discussed. We are still not clear what we are going to do. In this industry, oil and gas upstream, the digital data and data in digital form has been used since 1960 when first generation computers and the digital technology came. So since that time, we are using the digital technology for the extracting value from the data. And you may be now feeling that advantage. Even this meeting, we are virtual. If we are not in digital form, we cannot do this. So physical meetings, not possible, but digital, it is possible. So the topic which has been selected in this discussion, digitalization in oil and gas industry, for panelization, very relevant in current circumstances of COVID-19 also. So you have to digital to meet, to communicate, and to perform your business processes. So business processes may be depending upon your business needs, as my co-panelist had discussed, model of Uber, model of Ola, or other like travel agencies. Okay, they are doing and getting benefit right now. What analog they are producing? And our value, for example, we are some oil and gas, and what we will produce ultimately, we will produce in analog form. That has the value. Value is how much oil you have produced, how much gas in million cubic meter you have generated, not in digital form, but in the actual quantity, physical form. So, fill the gap. From where we started from physical, we are going to digital, again we are converting in the analog or physical form. So if it is clear, then what is the digitalization, what we are talking about? So this is the process where data can be read, and some processes which logics have been developed that can be implemented in the computer. So during that implementation, we have many technology, like we are just talking about artificial intelligence, machine learning, or deep learning. So all those things are there. This process had nothing to do with the quality. Quality will be of the sensors which you are implementing. What is the level of those sensors? How much noise they are producing? human interference, if we integrity of human quality, intelligence, so that is actually working. What is the quality and what is the safety regarding that data? But we are eating efficiency, means we are eating our operation with efficiency, cost reduction. So those things we are doing when we are going for this digital model. So let us see. We started in 1960. Okay, that was, if you just, my colleague has said that we started from actually working on paper sections or in log format, preparation of G2, etc. on papers. So that has been digital, and we are finding that the advantage of those. Now that ONGC very late started, I am also sharing my experience. ONGC started very late. One time it was earlier prepared by just by papers, and then it was made mandatory that will be digitally prepared, software brought and procured, and that will be shared to all stakeholders. Anyone can comment on that, and that after that final DTO will be prepared. So this is the one example. And we were working, just Dr. Manish Sugla has said that paper sections we started, so that is now all is computer based. We are not even storing that paper section. So that has happened. So what is our model where we want to implement our business model? Dr. Joshi has said that business model something. So that business model starts from that you will be knowing that we starting without data. Now business model is we have to compete in international bidding and then acquire the data for the exploration. But where is data? Where is data to decide it to go that area? So that is the big question. Okay, all public domain data are data purchased from the government, then can be used. And there is very less time. Time is not there, time bound, 1 month, 2 months. So we have to take the entire decision of our future plan of 20-50 years based on that bidding process. If we will be getting this area, this much of hydrocarbon we are producing, and we are giving this much of return to the government. After that, our share will be this much. So that is the here advantage of digitalization had to come. So that first phase of our business, that is the acquiring the acreage. So acquiring the acreage itself is biggest user of the data processing, data analytics steps where you don't have luxury of having the plenty of data. Then comes the, if you are lucky enough, you can get that area for the exploration. And then you have to acquire the data. And that is the many types of data. One, I am talking about the seismic data. So seismic data, when I talk regarding in the industry, digital data came 1962 itself. So that is the seismic data, which is recorded, stored, actually data on the surface, subsurface, or any processes of our operation, it's coming in analog form. So that by digital sensors, either you have to have digital sensors or you have to analog sensors. Mostly still we are using analog sensors. Okay. So analog sensors means continuous recording of data is there. For digital purpose, we have to sample it. Again, when we are sampling, many of theory are coming there of digital data. So we are converting by sampling, we are converting it to the digital, and that digital data is recorded. Earlier when we joined, there were also example in 83, also we were recording analog data, only analog. And one on the magnetic tape, data was stored in the analog form. So that has now each at that time one shot, one tape. So nowadays, this is not the problem with digital invention. Next, here we have lot of data. Okay, seismic. We have to interpret it. We have to imagine, image the subsurface, integrate live data, integrate log data, and other remote data which is nearby available, dealing data. So all those have to be integrated, and we have to decide where is the prospect to deal. So this is the biggest user of our digital techniques. Here, all the interpretation, data processing methods, data interpretation methods, data visualization methods, they are only on the digital platform. And ultimately, we are providing the digital model of the subsurface. Digital model in terms of it is lithology, in terms of the phases, in terms of the fluid contact, or in terms of simple structures, in terms of environment. So all those things in coming in the digital format, and we have the digital model. Now in that, many classes, we can use their machine learning, we can use their artificial intelligence, and we can do cognitive interpretation, means what we think, we can generate. Sorry, some noise is coming from my top floor. So that is being integrated and analyzed. Here is flexibility. When we call about that we have to do this much intelligence we have to apply. So here is the scope where we are doing that, and ultimately digital model we are providing. And when digital model, similarly, Dr. Joshi had told that, yes, we are not having that fields with digital sensors. All these dealing data are all the production data, pressure data, and water cut, etc. What is being generated, they should come virtually, they should be available in the real time in digital format at the some center or all to the all the stakeholders. So that is okay, that is in the process. So next phase is, now in that phase, I was discussing our business model and fitting this digitalization in that one. And next that is the production. So production data we have discussed. So, and after that we have abandoned our fields. That is also one of the big responsibility. So all the data, if it is kept properly, it can be abandoned also properly, the field can be. So what is the different types of processing in this? So first I discussed that the physical to digital. Okay, how to go from physical to digital? At which stage we are? Dr. Sri Devi had discussed many things, having the IT background. So, okay, so process is, one is digitization. I think we have almost crossed that digitization stage, and not in seismic data, not in scientific data, in management and finance, all data that has been going in digital format only. So that is creating lot of easiness that can be felt by everyone. What we have achieved when we have gone in digital format, in digitized format in the our finance and management. But in scientific, no one at one go can appreciate that yes, we have achieved this, because whatever methods, whatever technology since beginning of the industry we are using, we are not able to enhance our success. Success is almost, as technology is increasing, enhancing, their difficulties or complexities are enhancing. So our success ratio is almost there. So no one can tell that after implementation of this big data analytics, I have found this much hydrocarbon. Yes, each cost reduction that is visible, but finding is not visible. And from many years, not only in our country, in other countries also, we have not found big fields. So this is the status. So first is physical to digital, and physical to digital, how you are, digitization is one of the process when which we did. Now, digital data acquiring from the field, okay, methods has come now. You have to directly put their sensors and they will give you the digital in the digital format. A part along with all the attributes, means that what is the location, what is the temperature there. So that can be subsequently used in your analysis. And many methods, for example, that seismic, gravity, magnetic, and other remote sensing are there. So still, what I practice is still there. This gravity data, it is very valuable. When we are recording it, we are having, there is provision to have on the disk. Also, there is provision to have on the register. So still, we are believing more on register. We are recording. So that had to be not used. So similarly, other data types, remote sensing is very big, very, okay. So signal processing here, the image processing, various images, and that we have to process in digital format and again to integrate. Now, during this also, we have lab data. Lab data we are generating so many, all the things are coming from the basic things, where is hydrocarbon, where hydrocarbon may be found, that is coming from the sample actual physical data on which some microscope and other analyzer has been put up. What is that digital output? They are displaying digital output, but what we are producing, we are again producing in the physical form. There is some reports, there is some in PDF format, maximum in the PDF format. Before, I should also tell that what is the PDF format is not digital purpose. Okay. The PDF format is not digital purpose. You have to understand what is written there. Computer will not understand what is written. It will present you to read you and understand what value you can expect. So that is the data to be structured. Structure means it is readable. Computer can understand and it may implement by your guidance or itself by intelligence. What to be do, process had to be done, how the data had to be integrated, how to improve it. So structured data had to be structured format if we are going to use it for our further process. Reports and these emails, these PDFs, they are not usable in that form. So, okay, we have to divide or we have to implement sensors are available, digital sensors and other types of, and also transmitting in digital format. So at central location or in the field or in the office. So it had to come there in digital form for the further analysis. So second phase is digital itself. We have converted to digital and digital, what to do with the digital. So digital, like we have said, we have discussed, okay, earlier, just paper section, I can say, we were generating correlating horizons. Horizons means at what is the two-way travel time of a particular reflector with respect to some location, X and Y. So that was bit one section means 1 month, we will take one strip, measure the time. One will tell that this much time, other will write it. This is the time. So two persons, at least two persons at one time, this typing that horizon. So now, when it has come to a digital format, now very easy. Work which was done in the months or year, that will be done in the seconds. You will be giving some algorithm, some seed points, and system will automatically pull it. And that map will be available. So that easiness has provided the digital by digital technology and digital format. So now in that process, what is lacking there? Lacking, this is the digital, but other data when I am tracking live data, when I am tracking log data, and other cultural data, they are coming in the different format. They are being now integrated, but coming in different format, and they are software specific. If it is a database of this Schlumberger is being used without any intermediate interface, the Halliburton software will not able to understand it. So what is logic? If you are not having that particular software to read that type of data structure, so it is like like it is a means illiterate. That shows there is nothing. So like us, we are not knowing many languages. Somebody is speaking something, we are not able to understand. So that is the happening in this. So that had to be now taken up. One thing is very big, very important thing I want to share if you are not knowing. When this digital technology started in the seismic, that SEGWI format, what was standardized, that is understood world over by all the softwares. They have designed to read that software, to put up that in your data, and data will transfer to the database where you can do interpretation, attribute analysis, reservoir factorization, or where is direct hydrocarbon indicators, many things are there. So that standardization is still lacking. Data is here and there in bits and pieces. So with respect to some company, our company, what our company has done, we have started that is going on. It started late, but that is going on. We have called it one data, one company. Company will be having one type of data, one type of standard, and that will be acceptable to all, and we will be taking the benefit of the digital process. So it is the regarding digital, means digital data and obvious advantage of this one. You can augment it, you can visualize it, you can analyze it, you can put up any process there with your intelligence without much interference from the human. So that is the avoided there. Next is digital to physical. Digital to physical. Now what we have to data, we have predicted. Now that reports are sharing to others. Many concerns are there. Again, we are writing in the, giving in some form of report which we understand, the other can read. Okay, other can read, not directly used in their database. So that is prevented, and that is the our scheduled quantity in the analog form, in the tankers, in the pipelines, in the tank. So that is the very failure. We are still in some process, in some subsegments, we are in a car, and in some we is converting into the digital part. So after that, we are able to capture every data in digital form, and transformation will come up. Okay, what now? Many things are tagged that intelligence and artificial intelligence. Okay, so deep learning, and I discussed also in the beginning. So this is the after that you have to good data, and data is checked for its integrity. Okay, you do, and artificial intelligence it itself has been developed to check the data integrity. So that is also possible by that. So in exploration, particularly this digital transformation had to be implemented in full part very soon. And I think that there is not lacks. We are with industry, so going with collaborating with other experts, and now you may be hearing many of companies, oil companies and the service providers from Bazaar, Halliburton or others, they have collaborative way. They are going for those cloud computing, data analytics, and all those models are also in future in discussion in the our company, and that is the going on. So advantage of this technology and status of this technology, potential benefit, as everyone has discussed, going digital or operational is safer operations, increased productivity, better management and cost saving. So that is the advantage. This may provide greatest resilience, offer to weather the downturn that the industry that faces. So our industry is not very smooth, not smooth going. Sometimes what is happening, even in some time there is no demand for our products. There is no cost for our products. Nowadays, we are producing all in our country. We are losing when we are producing. Losing on production. This is the situation has arrived. So this technology, if we have to reduce our cost, so that may be derived, but reduction in cost in the field had to come with other stakeholders. So that is that resilience, that analysis we can get by the digital process. All companies and service providers are collaborating for digitalization and tech leverage in business. Onency also have taken, just I discussed, one database, one company to reap the benefit of in the future. With this brief, I am closing my narrations. Let us hear from our distinguished co-panelists. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for enlightening us with your experience and sharing information. Now, may I request Dr. Gopal Mistry? Sir, kindly introduce your role in the oil and gas industry and please share your experience during the process of digitalization.
Good afternoon to all. Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, you are audible, sir.
Thank you, ma'am, for inviting me in this UPS APGA student chapter event. I thank all the participants and congratulate also. This is very good endeavor by UPES. I think it is going to benefit students a lot. I am basically a drilling engineer with a degree of civil engineering. Now I am working in IDT as in R&D group of drilling. Actually, I have listened to all the panelists, and it was very nice discussion about digitalization in oil and gas industry. I would like to tell you two things have a very important impact on oil and gas industry worldwide. The first one, in 2014, oil prices went very low. And the second one is COVID-19 pandemic in 2019. So these two things have affected whole world so immensely that they are rethinking and rebooting its business models, how to mitigate and how to be successful in such condition. Actually, instead of going to discuss what has happened in the past and what are the drawbacks of the digitalization, I would like to tell you more about what is happening in our drilling in ONGC, so that students who are pursuing their study, they can know what is actually as on date what is happening and how we are going to going for more digitalization. Actually, when I joined, I worked on a Russian rig that was View 75. I joined in 1990, and that was purely mechanical rig, and lots of work were used to be done manually, hammering. Spanners were 10 kg, 5 kg spanners we used to do, use wire lines, ropes were there. Now I am telling you, recently, last month, ONGC has commissioned its first SS 1500 rig that is very much IT enabled, and there is very less human machine interface. That is purely cyber rig, 7th generation modern rig, and that has been commissioned in Ahmedabad, and such 27 rigs are coming. So what is advantage of this? Earlier in a drilling shift, 7 to 8% used to be work on derrick floor, drilling persons. But now this rig can be manned by only 2-3 persons, and driller is sitting in the cabin with joysticks, and all things are manually, all things are automatic. Machines are doing all the works. There is very less human machine interface. So what is there? There is greater safety, and whatever data we will be generating from the rigs, that can be taken up and that can go in our server for predictive analysis of drilling. This is actually happening, and first rig has been commissioned. 27 rigs are going to come in very less time. This is happening. This is really happening. So students can know that they don't have to go for mechanical or electrical heavy rigs. So first thing is that we are moving, ONGC is moving very faster to digitalization. Other aspect is we have seen the pandemic. Rather than telling anything, I want to pose one question. Can we do anything, or can we have a business model nowadays without digitalization? I don't think that any business model can succeed without digitalization. We have to go for that. There is no bypass of that. There is no other thing about that. So ONGC is pursuing, and I would like to tell you ONGC has one visionary plan of 2040. In that, you will be surprised to know that ONGC has earmarked its 10% profit from other than E&P business. What is that? That is 10% profit will be coming from utilization of digitalization, that is artificial intelligence and data analytics. This is great thing when this is going to do.
Right.
Another few things I would like to tell you. Already in offshore platforms, our offshore operations are being monitored through RTDM, that is real-time data monitoring system. And we are monitoring, we are generating reports, daily progress reports, and all rigs are connected to that. And monitoring of those rigs, drilling operations are being done through that. However, in case of ONC onshore drilling operations, SCADA was being used. In that system is operative on very few rigs, and we are monitoring online monitoring the operations on SCADA. But in RTDM and SCADA, there are limitations. You can only know what is happening on the rigs, but they don't have integrated system for predictive analysis. So that now what we are moving towards that. And I would like to tell you that ONGC is going to establish a center of excellence at headquarters, through which there will be integration of all types of data, be it geophysical data or production data or drilling data. Center of excellence will be coordinating throughout the ONGC operations. And now for onshore operations at IDT, we are in the mode of getting RTOC system, that is real-time operation center at IDT. And everything is moving fast, and I think in in near future, all these things will be established. Actually, many things have been discussed about data. Why we need all these things, real-time operating system or what? Actually, there is no way other than digitization that we can reduce the cost, monitor our operations, and it is very much valuable. Actually, we have plethora of data. You, as several panelists have told, that many data are generated, but we need meaningful data. But how we will get that? That it is there that artificial intelligence and data analytics can work for us. So I think we can't look back. We have to go for digitalization, and you have put up a very good topic for this Crush 21 panel discussion. Students will get exposure, and they have to think towards this line. Past is past. We can't go in that way. We have to use what is available. Other things, I think during this COVID, we have seen that all training modules are being conducted through online platform, and this is very good thing. And in future also we are working on that, how artificial AR and VR can be used for training, and like we are doing here, 360 view of rigs operation simulation, and we are doing I will tell you one thing, that we are doing here well-controlled training. That is that actually used to be done on physically. People used to come here and get the training, but now it is going to be done on online platform. And during this COVID-19 pandemic, it doesn't got stopped. It is continuously going on. So this is the benefit of digitalization. And I think there is no looking back, and we have to go ahead, and students should learn accordingly how to use digital landscape that is available nowadays, and without which we can't go ahead. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your wisdom words. As we have time limitations, so I can give 2 minutes for each panelist now. So please try to complete your, please try to share your views within 2 minutes. And this time you have to give your concluding remark also, because we have to complete it by 2:30. So first I would like to connect Ms. Sri Devi ma'am. Are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
So my question, will the effect of COVID-19 spur a faster technology for oil and gas industry?
I'm getting a lot of echo, Annapurna. If you can just repeat your question.
Yeah. Will the effect of COVID-19 spur a faster technology adoption for oil and gas industry, and will it be harder to switch to digitalization for oil and gas companies?
There is some disturbance. I'm not able to get you clearly. People are not speaking. If you can go on mute, please.
Can the participant Pranav Jagadale go on mute, please?
Yeah, I think this is better now.
Yeah.
Sorry, ma'am, you were asking, will COVID-19 spiral the digitalization in oil and gas industry, right? That's what you were asking. I'm not able to hear you, ma'am. You're on
Ma'am, you're
mute.
on mute.
Sorry. Okay. So will the effect of COVID-19 spur a faster technology adoption for oil and gas sector? And will it be harder for oil and gas industries to switch to
Okay.
digitalization?
Okay, so this question reminded me of one small WhatsApp message which I saw saying that what is the trigger in your company to adopt digitalization? So is it CEO, CDO, or COVID-19? And there was a big circus for COVID-19. So, so I think you're absolutely right. COVID-19 has accelerated the adoption of digital technology. There's absolutely no doubt in that. Simply because now things have to be done in a remote mode. The productivity has to be still managed. Your operations has to be still managed. So adopting digital technologies, a lot of this was, it was possible to achieve this. And it has also paved way to see that how digital technology has kind of made the impact. And in future, given the kind of oil prices, what we're going to see in future, we have to continue perhaps in this mode of, increased productivity, less cost base, more efficiency, that kind of stuff. And hence the adoption of digital technologies is definitely going to increase there. The other point what I would like to make is oil and gas companies have realized that it is just not oil and gas now, right? They have to start transitioning into newer source of energy. And when you do that, digitalization comes part of it now, right? So be it your solar energy, wind farms, or whatever of any of this kind of technologies, right? So when you had to integrate all these things and you have ambitions to become the power supplier of the world, or to provide alternate sources of energy for your customers, digitalization will play a bigger role in that, and companies have realized and have started taking that action. And the third point I would like to make is oil and gas companies have realized that it is no longer a B2B kind of transaction, right? It is going to be more of B2C going forward. Your end consumer matters the most when you start transitioning into newer kind of energies, right? So how do you attract your end customer? How do you manage the end customer? What's the life cycle? And if everything shifts to newer energies, very soon, especially the integrated oil and gas companies might not be having customer base with them, right? Because somebody else will be providing the power, the electricity what's required for the new generation consumers, or the new generation vehicles which is going to come in. So in that scenario, how do we manage the customers? How do we cater to them? How can we delight them? What kind of experience you want to provide? So there's a whole lot of innovation, whole lot of transformation going in that space as well. So yes, in a nutshell, be it upstream, downstream, or the retail side, definitely there's an uptake of digitalization during COVID times.
Thank you, ma'am. Another panelist, may I request you, do you want to comment on this? What ma'am said regarding this? Do you have any comment?
I would like to say something. I mean, first of all,
Yeah.
let me compliment ma'am for giving a fantastic talk, and it was real. People who are cloistered in G&G database, only for them, what the representative from Accenture has said is an eye opener. And yes, catalysts like COVID have really triggered our pace for digitalization. But I think we have a lot to do. And I still would feel that we have entered a phase in which probably you can see that the digital bots are entering a well and trying to understand what the lithology is, and then coming out and telling us that yes, the oil is there. So all those things, all those innovations are taking place. But I do feel that in order to make the IT industry more responsive to the needs, we need to have greater interaction between the people who are in the upstream job and who are with those who are specialists in their domain. Because that interface, if it is not developed, probably digitization will remain in a very nascent form. So that interaction, that synapse has to be generated and created. And for that, I think people, because I remember I recently handling a few projects in which we had mathematicians trying to understand what we needed, and they said, "Look, you teach us something which you think is more relevant, but we will convert it into a mathematical language." Now that sort of interaction, we were forced to think and step into their boots, while they were forced to step into our boots, and then that interaction, something beautiful developed. So all those things we need to work on, and probably a smaller approach, frequent approach, such meetings would definitely have a greater impact in that. So I just wanted to compliment you for giving a very good talk on this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Now, I would like to ask another question. So I'll go to directly. I'll go to Sunil, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, what do you think? How can being digital help revamp the oil and gas sector in context of Indian economy?
Well, Indian economy, most of the oil and gas which is used in India, it is all imported, 75 to 80%. So there is a urgent need for indigenous production. There is urgent need to develop technologies which can enhance production, and especially those. There is need for enhanced oil recovery. Our recovery from the existing fields is also quite low. So even if there was a decision taken by cabinet, and also there is a policy in place that even if we can increase 2% or 5% production from existing fields, that converts to several probably more than 1 lakh crore rupees. So so that is the kind of volume in terms of money and dollars, and in terms of barrels of oil we are talking. And India is going to be a gas-based economy, and India is going to be one of the most important users of energy. And the kind of geopolitical situation now you see with Saudi Arabia and all, we have to be self-reliant. We have to move towards that. We are the second largest population in the world, and we are the biggest consumers, fifth 5 trillion economy. There are so many things going on. So we have to implement digital in a big way. And government has already taken up, there is a digital task force made by Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas, where they have invited people from industry, from academia, from Accenture, from Shell, from different all companies. And there is a common working group where people will be working towards brainstorming that how digital technologies can be implemented in upstream and oil and gas industry in India, and how it can be facilitated, because there are several bottlenecks. It is not as easy, because when you try to do something, why, when, and what, This is the question comes, why? Why should we do? And how should we do? And what should we do? So those things, those questions will be asked. Why should we implement digital? Well, at a high level, it looks eminent, but there are many micro level bottlenecks which needs to be taken care of. So definitely there is a huge scope, and especially like we have to decrease the we have to in our existing oil fields we have to implement, and we have to come up with a model which is a kind of Atmanirbhar Bharat model where technologies are developed for us and tailored for us. So for that, digital will definitely play a big role. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Harilal, sir, would you like to comment on this?
Yes, thank you. Definitely, the importance of oil and gas industry in our economy of the country. And one question by Sridevi, asked by you, and Sridevi has answered that both in positive way, the oil and gas industry, if you see the current scenario, whole economics is revolving around this in our country. So very important role, whether we are producing or we are importing. So now there's a lot of regarding the import. Okay. So very important role in our overall economic scenario. Definitely, if we are able to produce substantial, then definitely our dream of developing our economy as we desire 5 trillion or more, okay, that will be accelerated. So definitely we have to take all the technological help and implement with our intelligence to get benefited for the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Now, may I ask Dr. Mistry, so how exactly can digitalization transform oil and gas industry? And what are the key strategic imperatives in this digital journey? What are the key strategic imperatives?
Please tell once again, madam.
Okay. So how
question.
exactly, we are already discussing what the digitalization and the transformation, digital transformations are going on, already you have discussed. And how exactly can digitalization transform oil and gas industry?
Okay.
We are at what stage? In India, we are at what stage? And already we discussed the challenges. We have lots of challenges. And what are the key strategic imperatives to overcome those
Okay.
challenges? Yes.
Okay, this is I think very good question, and we should know and we should analyze also. Actually, I will tell you one thing, that ONGC crude oil lifting cost is $45 per barrel, and now today market price is hovering around $59 to $62 per barrel. So earlier it was very less. Now it is above 45 barrel. So ONGC is in positive. The most important thing in oil and gas industry is that you have to lower the cost. How you can lower the cost? How efficiently you can drill a well? If you drill a well, I will tell you, we are drilling a well about 90 crore in average, I think 60 to 90 crore per well we are drilling. It is not only drilling a well, okay. It is whether we are giving healthy well, we are giving producing wells. that has a very good life cycle. So all these considerations are involved when we are going for digitalization. Actually, what is happening? There are lots of data available, but who is going to? Is it possible to analyze by man who is looking after a well? It is not possible. So we think that in initial stages we did all these things, but now it is not possible to analyze. And by analyzing those data, we can go for drilling a well, planning a well based on offset well data, based on the reservoir, that how we can drill efficiently, how we can drill healthy well, producing well. So this is the most important thing. And other than other aspects are also there. Now, safety aspects. Actually, it was not very much important in India now earlier, but nowadays it is taking leading seat. So digitalization is a very good thing in that direction also. You might be seeing that drone is being utilized to monitor and oversee our remote platforms. We can use that so that there is no accident and loss is controlled. So likewise, without we are moving in that direction so that our wells are very good, efficient, low cost, producing and healthy wells. So our productivity gets enhanced. So that is the basic thing that I want to say. Digitalization will work towards that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now, I would like to ask Manish, sir. Manish, sir, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Yes. Okay. Sir, according to you, what are the key strategies? How digitalization can help to increase profitability in oil and gas sector?
Well, I think we have been deliberating on that, and the question comes of profitability. So first and foremost, the best thing which digitalization will do is resource optimization. Is absolutely important. Resource optimization in terms of hardware, software, our infrastructure resource, and to some extent even the human resource. So that is point number one. Point number two is through digitization, we would be able to minimize our operational losses, which do play a very important role in our profitability. Not that we have many losses, but if we talk in the entire chain of operations, upstream, midstream, and downstream, an integration of the entire petroleum sector is only possible once we have a very robust digital infrastructure, an infrastructure which is largely digitized. Because we have seen during our panel discussion words like SCADA coming now. SCADA is what? We are doing real-time assessment of the wells, the performance. And mid-course correction is only possible if we are able to predict something which is coming beyond. In the chat box, I saw somebody asking a question whether is it possible to predict high pressure zones and prevent a blowout? Yes. Logging while drilling is basically a phenomena in which a digital input is being obtained by drilling parameters, and we are able to predict beforehand whether we are entering a high pressure zone or not. Now, these are just a few examples wherein the cost optimization will definitely help us to improve our profits. Point number two. Now, this is very important for me. Talking in terms of enhanced oil recovery, as what Dr. Khare said, very rightly he has pointed out. In fact, I wanted to compliment Dr. Khare giving a very lucid and a very focused talk, and he has shared his opinions beautifully. During enhanced oil recoveries, going in for, since we are having matured fields, going in for infill drilling, going in for a field development program, it is vitally important for us to de-risk and to hit the sweet zones. The moment we enter into the phase of digital field models, wherein the field models are robust, they are more realistic, I think we would be able to mitigate drilling a dry well and only focus and be able to produce healthy, high quality producing wells. Now, this entirely, supposing on an average, if you are spending 40 crores on a well, can you imagine the dry hole cost that is adding to our losses? The moment we are able to reduce our dry holes, the dry wells, we are definitely entering into a phase of cost enhancing profitability. So digitization will definitely help us in achieving this, not only through resource optimization, but going in for more value-based drilling, which will definitely play and help us in our enhancing recoveries. Not only that, the third aspect, to manage the fields. The moment we try to understand that, okay, there is a depletion occurring somewhere and the production is going down, we will be able to understand and jack up. What rightly somebody has, a panelist has come up, made a point that we are now integrating our resource base, our data resource base, so that we are able to utilize all set of informations. Not only necessarily, it is not necessarily pertaining only to geology or geophysics, but also to drilling, and we are able to use that information in what should I say, in maintaining the productions of our field. This, as on date, if we are able to maintain our production levels, if we are able to enhance, as what Dr. Khare said, about by 2 to 3%, if we are able to enhance our recoveries, it will have a huge impact on the country's economy. So digitization per se will definitely help us. Profitability, yes, but since we are part of our national oil company, I would like to say that yes, our endeavors to reduce our import bills will also be helped. That's my answer to it. I hope I have been able to answer your question.
Thank you, sir. Now, I would like to ask Joshi sir, till what extent digitalization can be carried out in our country, and which technologies will have the greatest impact? Sir, you please unmute yourself. You are still muted, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes.
Am I audible now?
Yes, sir.
I thought you forgot me. As one of the, I'm really thankful to my learned fellow panelists for summing up so many things. And not only I'll answer your question, ma'am, I'll also add certain things which I think should be added to their, concluding remarks and answers to different questions. Like there has been a lot of stress on enhancing production from existing fields by using digitalization in IR, EOR techniques, infill drilling, and all those things. But we should not forget that a lot of India is still unexplored. So we have to find out new oil. Since Bombay High, we have not yet found a good reservoir of substance, and we are still thriving on Bombay High. We cannot sustain ONGC, or which is the biggest producer of oil and gas in India. We have to find many Bombay Highs or Gandhars by using digital technology into exploration area. Into exploration area doesn't really mean by better seismic surveys, by finding better locations, but also by better exploratory drilling. When I joined ONGC in 81, ma'am, just give me another couple of minutes. I was told that West Bengal is floating on oil. And we used to make a joke of it because Diamond Harbor, Jaguli, which were the deepest wells of that time, could not produce a single drop of oil or gas. And now see what happened recently in Ashoknagar, we struck oil. So, exploration is a big game. And we were exploring for many decades in Rajasthan, and we abandoned those areas. We came back, and Kane Energy got on there. So there are chances of discovering huge fields offshore, onshore, if you properly use. And we not only need to enhance our productivity levels from 15% to 35% or 25% in existing fields, but also to explore more areas. Thank you very much, Sridevi ma'am. In your area also, I got a suggestion. As Mr. Manish was rightly saying, a good interaction between a software engineer and a technician is required. My experience is slightly different. Way back in 1985, I was given to develop softwares in Fortran language, Fortran 4. I developed software in those areas, those days. That time C was not even discovered. I was working in Fortran, Pascal, and COBOL. And that time I developed a file-driven software in Fortran 4 with 77 extensions. So what I want to say is, if you employ people like me who have superannuated in your company as technical experts who can guide you guys, what is required by, I'm not vouching for my employment, sorry, this is simply a joke. So you can probably, you means companies like you who are the backbone of digitalization for oil industry. So you guys can really change the whole scenario. So, ma'am, I think that's sufficient to tell everything about digitalization and its aspects and all those things. Annapurna, ma'am.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much.
Now we have two questions. First question we have already discussed, or the panelists already discussed on that. What are the main areas to work on so that we can have digitalization? Pritam Khote, can you please unmute yourself? So that question already we have discussed. All panelists shared their views. We'll take second question. Using digitalization, can we predict disaster like blowout?
I think you should ask this question from Mr. Gopal.
Yes, I was about to asking.
So, well-controlled school is that only?
Yes, sir, what is your question?
Using digitalization, can we predict blowout? It's high pressure.
Okay.
Or rather prevent blowout.
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, this is a very good question indeed. And
Have a request,
based on my experiences in drilling and now working in IDT, I will tell you digitalization is the right step towards that we can predict blowout. For predicting the blowout. Actually, why blowout happens, there are regions that we cannot count some process errors, human errors, and offset well data. So now we have a very good tool that is digitalization, various softwares are there, predictive softwares. We have now software for data integration and picking out meaningful data out of that. So certainly we can predict when blowout is going to happen. And apart from that, you all know that well-controlled school is giving imparting training to also to candidates for mitigating the blowout situation. So that is my view. Thank you.
I have a request.
Yes, sure.
Can you please, for the benefit of the students, if Dr. Mistry can elaborate on MPD, that is the managed pressure drilling phenomena that is being taken up, and we are getting successful wells in Tripura. So because GAM
UPD
again
and
is
PD.
yeah
Yes.
managed pressure drilling MPD wells. That would add that
Sir,
would really excite the students.
okay, sir, you are asking me to tell something.
Yes, I have a request, sir, that if you can elaborate for a couple of minutes
Okay.
basics of MPD, managed pressure drilling, because that is again, one way
Okay.
it is taking a lot of inputs from digital data sets, and we are using that information to manage our high pressure zones, especially the transitions.
Okay. Actually, this is very good thing, and this is a new technology induction in ONGC called MPD, managed pressure drilling, that is being first time used in one well of Tripura, that is present being drilled and about to reach the target within 6-7 days. And earlier one well has been already successfully drilled. Actually, I would like to tell you that what is managed pressure drilling. Actually, managed pressure drilling is required where in which well those wells have very narrow margin of pore pressure and fracture pressure. So what happened? Our earlier efforts to drill all these deep wells in Tripura could not be success due to this narrow margin. Whenever we went for increasing the mud weight, the fracture pressure, there is induced fracture in the formation and mud loss situation took place. And due to that, what happened? There is inflow into the well and we could not go beyond a certain point. Now, what managed pressure drilling does, that we can keep mud weight at lower level. However, whenever there is requirement of additional pressure, so that can be put in through other external means, that is through annulus, and that can be removed also. So if, what is being done? We are managing the annulus pressure. We are not putting additional pressure in annulus so that it is get fractured. So this technique is being used to counter this situation of narrow margin of pore pressure and fracture pressure. Now this is a very good technology, and with this now one well is being presently drilled, and there is no loss and gain situation in the well, and we are going to reach TD very successfully. Thank you.
So can I add some small points, ma'am?
Sure. Please, sir. Sure.
Yeah, so UBD and MPD, this is a very good technology, and I believe it's already 15 years now. This technology is in place. I remember in 2009-10, people were using this technology, and then you asked, and this is all about manipulation of the valves at the near this near the wellhead, and the MPD engineer, he will increase manipulate the valve, and annular pressure will ECD will accordingly change. So another very interesting, when you say digital solution in oil and gas industry, there was a company in 2010. It came up with a very innovative solution, and this company was Verdande. Probably many of you must be aware of that. Verdande, and the solution was Drill Edge. Drill Edge was a very innovative solution, and I was virtually while working in Wipro, I was almost like a sales agent of that Drill Edge solution. So it had a radar screen, and in that radar screen you will get to know when is the blowout or stuck pipe or any scenario is going to happen. There will be a dot which will be moving from the edge of the radar to the center. If it is moving towards the center, it means the problem is aggravating. If it is towards the edge, it means problem is less. And that solution was a big hit. And actually, when the oil prices in 2014 went down, then this company went bankrupt. But it was almost like 50, 60, 70 rigs were using across Europe and US. This solution they were using, and it was a very successful solution. And it just used to use only the real-time data, high-frequency data, to come up to the conclusion whether there will be a blowout or not. So these types of opportunities do exist, and our students, they can work, and they can come up with such type of solutions, which will help customers, and they can be easily done. They can be like, there are some 5, 6, 10 critical parameters, and based on algorithm made from those parameters, they can come up with some logic which can tell that at what time, what is the probability of getting a blowout. So this is a distinct possibility, and this solution has already been there in the market.
Good.
Thank you, sir. We are running short of time, so may I conclude the session?
Ma'am, we would like to have some, words from our
Yeah, sure.
side for the panelists.
Yeah, first of all, yeah, sure. I'd like to thank all the panelists for sharing your wisdom words and enlightening our students and all the participants. I must thank all the participants also. So as digital technologies are being critically important, and I am of opinion that there is a tremendous amount of untapped potential that we can leverage with the help of digitalization in oil and gas sector. And we have huge talent pool in India, which can offer tremendous opportunities for the best use of digital technologies in oil and gas sector. And in this case, we should have industry academia collaboration also, which is also important to understand how these technologies can be best implemented, and how can companies, suppliers, regulators, and employees they can prepare themselves for the new change. So with this, I would like to conclude this panel discussion. Now it is over to our host.
Thank you,
everyone.
Annapurna. With this, we now come to the conclusion of the panel discussion. We are enlightened with the session that has rendered us with more knowledge and finest insights on the theme. It certainly has helped us to pledge for culminating better changes by delegating for digitization in the oil and gas sector. All the technology that is coexisting and all that which will emerge in the future in our sector are a part of contemplation and an innovation that will drive these changes later. We believe that this surely would have ignited your quest to learn, ideate, and move towards a digitized oil and gas industry of the future. I would now request our president, Mr. Apur Kumar Jha, to take over from here for the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Mayank. It is a small world, they said. Very truly said. It took us the biggest scare to humankind in the past 200 years, and maybe for the next 200 years too, to understand how small this world actually is. Good evening, everyone. Today, as the UPS AEPG student chapter has this opportunity to hear and understand how the digitalized future looks like, all of us being energy enthusiasts here, and we all of us know that we cannot turn into the digitalized future without using the technical knowledge, like we were told, like it was focused upon within this session. We believe that this session couldn't have been better even if we tried to, and we couldn't have asked for better panelists even if we could have asked at all. Today, on behalf of the chapter, I, Apur Kumar Jha, President of the UPS AEPG Student Chapter, would like to thank all our elite panelists for joining us here and showing us the way to move forward in this new world. I thank Dr. Hari Lal, ex-Executive Director, Head of Institute, KDMIP, ONGC, Mr. A.K. Joshi, ex-Group General Manager, IIDT, ONGC, Mr. Gopal Mistry, General Manager, Drilling, ONGC, Mr. Manish Shukla, General Manager, ONGC, and Ms. Sridevi Bale, Energy Lead at Accenture, for joining us. I also like to take this opportunity to thank Dr. Sunil Kumar Khare, our Head of Department, for showing us his immense experience and the way throughout this event. And I would like to, on behalf of everyone else, express my most heartful gratitude and thanks to our moderator, our very own Dr. Annapurna Burwa, Assistant Professor from UPS Department of Petroleum Engineering and Energy Earth Sciences, for gracing us here as our moderator and making this endeavor a grand success. I again express my heartfelt gratitude, and I hope the UPS EPG student chapters and the teams here will have the honor of hosting all of you for years to come. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much. With that,
Thank you.
now we conclude the session.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
I request all participants to kindly fill in the form if they haven't. And for all those participants, we'll